Hi, class. Welcome back. Today, I want to go through um, just a general revision checklist for your annotated bibliography assignment. Right now, you should be in module number 3, and we are at this point reviewing information that has already been covered in the annotated bibliography webinar. We are going to take a look at each part of the summary to ensure that we understand what we should be looking for and how we should revise our summaries once we've written them. First of all, uh, we want to make sure that we have read our summaries. I'm sorry, that we have read the articles all the way through. All right. So let's start with the key things that we should pay attention to. All right. Um, I'm going to start right here. The first thing that we want to pay attention to before submitting this assignment is the format and sample pages, right? Just to make sure that we're covering small details. For instance, right now, if you would take a look at your first entry, double check to make sure that in the introductory statement you have included the title, and that title should have quotation marks around it. Make sure that you've included the author's name. Make sure that you've included the publication, and make sure that you've included the publication date. All right. A couple of things to pay attention to. Remember to remove the et al. From your introductory statement after the author's names if you have multiple authors, and make sure that you replace it either with each of the author's names or some form of um, collective pronoun to indicate that the lead author had a team of researchers or a team of lawyers or a team of scientists or engineers that helped them write the article that you are summarizing. You want to make sure that you look in the introductory statement for the author's names. Again, you want to make sure that they're capitalized properly. You want to make sure that the titles are capitalized properly, the journal titles are capitalized properly, and the dates are capitalized properly. Double check to make sure that your article has quotation marks around them, or around it rather. And double check to make sure that your journal is italicized. Also, make sure that your date is written properly. All right. So if you have a month, make sure the month and the year is there. If you have a date that has a specific date, like a certain day that the article was actually published on, make sure that you write it properly. It would take this form. You would not do this weird thing by adding the RD if you have the year, right? So keep in mind this rule. Whenever you are writing a date that has a specific day, you do not include the RD or the ST or the NDs for second, first, or third. Instead, you'll just leave it as is. All right. And if you have a quarter or a season, you can represent the date as such. All right. By offering the season first or the month first and then the year. All right. So you want to make sure that you go through this revision process. Keep in mind that your introductory statement is graded individually for this assignment. The next thing you want to pay attention to is going to be the second sentence in your summary, and that's going to be your summary thesis. Your summary thesis should be written flawlessly. In other words, it should be very clear. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you have keywords like overall message or primary point or some combination of words to indicate that this is the main idea. What you don't want to say is this is the main idea, but you want to use some other form of communication to make sure that you're communicating that idea. Okay, make sure you revise it, and it should be likely the second sentence in your summary. The next thing you want to pay attention to is going to be the structure of your body paragraph or the body of this paragraph. The body of this paragraph should have a few details, maybe more, to communicate exactly what the article entails. So, what are the major details or major points you've pulled out of this article? All right. Don't forget, you want to make sure that you are looking for small things like homophone errors or small typos. Again, removing the et al if you need to. Um, you want to make sure that you've done these things as well. Um, in this module, early on, there's a section a few pages back. What's the best way to get here? There's a section a few pages back at the beginning of the module that gives you some keywords that you can use in order to illustrate transitions within the body paragraph. Right? If I could just get back there. All right, here we are. It is this page, writing the annotated bibliography for our class. All right, so it's going to be right down here under the writing the annotated bibliography subheading. In this section, you were given list of words that you can use in order to show uh, the structure of this summary or the structure of the major details. So you can use chronological order transitions, which are going to include words like after, afterwards, ends, finally, first. You want to make sure that as you're writing a summary that you're guiding your reader through so that they can see exactly how your major details are set up. So I want you to check right now to see where your transitions are. This is actually something that I'll look for when I grade because it shows the organization and structure of your paragraph. Right? So you probably want to start with your first major detail with something like starts or first to let me know that we're at the beginning of the article in terms of what you're summarizing. Then maybe you want to go to words like next or afterwards. Again, to walk us through, to let us know exactly where we are in the article. Then you may want to use words like subsequently. All right, again, to walk us through. And then maybe you want to end with your final detail with something like finally or ends. That lets us know that we're at the end of all of your major details and you're basically setting us up for the conclusion statement. All right. So if you keep your article summary in the same order as the article itself, then you should use these transition words. If for some reason you can't do this because just the way that your information is flowing, it won't work. Then you want to use the transition words that speak to adding things or listing things. And these are a group of transition words to help you do that. You want to make sure that in your um, summary, you have at least 3 or 4 transition words to indicate the order and the structure of your summary as it relates to the article. Okay, so you do want to include these. I would go with, one to get started, maybe a transition from the next idea after that, and then maybe one more transition to lead um, to your final detail. All right, which is going to have its own transition, like finally or ends. All right, um, and then also obviously to follow suit here. So try 3 or 4 of those. It depends on how much content you actually have. The final part of this is going to be your conclusion statement. And for the conclusion statement, it's going to close out your research. It's going to tell the audience that you're writing to exactly how this article concludes and what the author does with the conclusion. So it could be the author's results, could be their findings, it could be a conclusion paragraph. It just depends on the type of article that you are summarizing. All right. But don't forget, you want to use transition words like it concludes, or she concludes, or he concludes, or they conclude. The results indicate, the outcome suggests. Whatever it is at the end of your paragraph, it should communicate that we are at the end of the article itself. All right. So these transition words are words that you want to use. All right. Another thing that you want to be aware of as you go back into the body of your paragraph is you want to make sure that you're thinking about how you're using communication verbs. All right. So if you have wrote or writes or she says or he said, you want to go in and you want to switch those words out with words that are more precise, like they describe or they explained or they remarked or they mentioned. Just vary it a bit, just so that it takes your writing to a slightly higher level, so that you are communicating academically, and it will make your writing pop just a little bit more than what it normally does. All right. I'm going to go back into, if I can get there. Thanks for your patience. Oh, there we are. I'm going to go back into the screen we were on before with the body and the conclusion statement. I covered the information before about editing strategies. Just want to make sure that we cover information for the conclusion statement. Again, this is the information I just offered earlier to make sure that we understand that you want to use that transition word there. Don't forget, you still want to edit for things like run-ons and fragments. Now is a good time to take this assignment to the Writing Center. You can schedule a virtual appointment. You don't have to go in. Someone can help you online just to go over your summaries to make sure that you have A, communicated well, and then B, that you have addressed any grammar issues. We want to start thinking along those lines as we get ready to write more paragraphs and essays. All right. So the earlier you know your tendencies in terms of little small errors and little things, the earlier you can address those and practice revising and editing in this way, the stronger your writing will be in general and the more confident you'll be. And plus, you get obviously extra credit and a bonus point on your final grade for going to the Writing Center. So there are many benefits to this. Once you finish going through your personal editing for this assignment, you are then going to submit this assignment. All right. So as you prepare to submit the assignment, again, you want to go through the entire revision process. And then you want to turn in something that looks like this, right? So here is a sample of multiple uh, annotated bibliographic entries. So that's what you'll do for your assignment, all right? So let's look at the assignment itself, because I know some of you guys are eager beavers and you're ready to get this assignment done. Don't forget, you want to make sure that you look at the minimum requirements for your assignment each time you have one. You will turn in, if you haven't already, your annotated bibliographic entry for peer review, all right? So you will want to make sure that you submit 2 of your annotated bibliography entries for this assignment. And then don't forget, your comments back to your classmates should be at least 200 words, all right? And make sure that you address each comment individually. So you'll comment on at least 2 students' entries, and it will be 4 entries total, all right? Don't forget, when you're offering feedback, it should be in-depth and it should be specific to the assignment. It shouldn't just say, oh, you did a good job. The next thing is that you want to make sure that you're offering meaningful feedback. All right. Students actually pay attention to this and they actually take your comments to heart and they apply them. So you want to make sure that you do your best. So that's one assignment attached to this. Hopefully you've already done it. The second assignment attached to this is going to be your your annotated bibliography assignment in general. Okay, so keep in mind, you want to make sure that you do the basic things that you needed to do from the preliminary bibliography assignment. All right, so number one, you want to make sure that you alphabetize your entries. That's going to be something that we continue with as we go forward with writing bibliographies and works cited. You have to uh, you have to alphabetize, so don't forget. The next thing you want to make sure that you do is add all of the elements for the entry. So you need both the entry itself and the summary. You have to add both. All right. Don't forget the entry goes on top. So what you did for the preliminary bibliography, that thing goes on top, and your summary goes up under it. Don't forget, your sources still need to be sources that meet the minimum requirements. So they need to be sources from the Collin College Library database. All right. So your summaries must be between 100 to 300 words. You can go over 300 words. It's really just to give a range, but you cannot go under 100 words. If you go under 100 words, then you will not receive credit for that entry. It'll be a complete zero for the whole thing. All right. This assignment's worth 10 points on your final grade. Each one is 2 points each. So you would write your entry and your summary in this box. So both the entry and the summary. And so you do that for each one all the way down to question number 5. And then you would submit your quiz right here. All right. And that's pretty much it. Please make sure that you keep all these things in mind before you submit your final draft, and good luck on this assignment. All right. Thank you guys for coming, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.